it is that says Australia and spiders have to make a baby. But apparently, this is a thing. And I'm not a fan of it. Hey, as you see, it's your boy Felix here at The Rated F with a guest host this week. You ready? Look, he's feeling it. He's vibing. He's chilling. Look at him. The PrimeTime Nino. What up?
Yes, sir.
I just need that sound on set now.
Yeah.
What's going
on? What up, man? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm glad to be stepping in for Robbie today, and super excited to talk with you on this episode, bro. We got a lot of great things to talk about, so I can't wait.
Yes. Thank you, guys. As you see, I'm kind of normally here with my co-host Robbie. He is away for some time. Don't know exactly how long. So PrimeTime is stepping up. Is going to be with us for the time being. But with that being said, guys, just make sure we send our prayers more to Robbie and his family at this time. Also, guys, I just want to kind of get into it. This is episode 61. So thank you, guys. We haven't been able to because last week we had to cancel the show for the week. But your boys hit 100 subscribers. We are goal of 100 subscribers. Now we're trying to go upwards. We're trying to shoot up. We're trying to keep going. So you know what you got to do, guys. If you're sick of hearing these voices saying it, then you're not doing it right enough, because you gotta go ahead and click that subscribe button. I want you to pause this episode really quick right here at the bottom. Go down there and go ahead and click the subscribe button. Like the video while you're at it too, because the more likes we get, your boys are just getting popping and more high up there, because we're climbing. We're going for the top. We're going for it. You know, we got top 3 in the Latin charts when his album dropped. Now you're looking at your top 3 on your boys going into the Spotify podcast world.
Let's go.
Speaking into existence. I'm speaking it.
Yes, sir. Manifestation.
Exactly, guys. And if you haven't already done so, guys, make sure you're following up on our IG, on our Twitter or X, whatever the hell they want to call it these days. And make sure you guys are following up with us. We post a lot of the up-to-date. If there's any news, like last week we didn't have an episode. We did drop news about there won't be an episode. So, guys, go ahead and follow us there, interact with us. We love it. We enjoy it. We want it. Also, for our listeners, if you're using your ears to hear us today and not watching us physically, we love you guys still. Go ahead and give us a rating of 5 stars if you haven't already done so. Please, guys, that helps us out a lot. It also keeps boosting our numbers in that platform as well. Right now, again, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. We're going for it. We're going to go for more. So keep it up, guys. You guys are going to definitely help us out. Thank you again for everybody who's done it. But
right, that's right, man. Y'all have been doing it, and y'all deserve y'all flowers. Congratulations to the Rated F podcast getting their 100 subscribers. Let's keep them going up and up and up. Let's keep them, let's keep blessing them with more love, so that we can get more content from them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad to be a nice partner with you guys here and a stable co-host for you guys. I'm very happy for y'all and to hear this news. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, man. Thanks. And honestly speaking, you've actually been on the show quite some time this year. I think you were the first episode of the year, and we've done like a couple. We did the one phase where we're all of us together.
Yes, we went to the salon and we did the podcast there. That was before Chains of Destiny.
Correct.
And then
I think there was one other time. Yeah, there's one or two other times in between that.
The album, I think.
Yeah, when your album dropped. Yep.
Yeah. We've done a couple of them, man. I'm always glad to come and talk to you guys and have good conversation. We always have good episodes. So,
hell yeah.
And I think people enjoy it too. I feel like the people get all tuned in when we're all together.
Yeah, I definitely have gotten a lot of great feedback, especially when people's like, "Oh, who's that other guy that the crazy hair going on?" I'm like, "Oh, the only guy with hair at the moment because Robbie keeps his short."
The last one left. The last crusader.
This hair ain't going nowhere, man. I've been trying to grow it, and I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good."
I don't know how long I'll be able to maintain this, but I mean, I feel like
Do the Vince
like
McMahon.
you know, the Vince, the Vince is hard to pull off.
I don't think it's that hard to pull off. I think you could do it.
In a few years, we can have a conversation about it, but I go through this stage like literally every 6 months with my wife where I either want to color my hair or cut it off or do something completely drastic. I want to try a mullet. I want to do, and
You
now
did two of those in the same spot, bro. You dyed your hair and then did a mullet with it on the album drop.
I did this. I do recall. This is what I'm talking about. I go through these phases with my hair, and this was a mullet. This was a mullet at some point, and it has just grown and protruded into this
That's the
whatever
Dominican
this
in
is.
you. That's
And but it's a head full of beautiful hair. This is
it
no
is. I'm
biotin.
envious.
And this is some luscious curls, luscious Dominican curls for you. You know what I'm saying? I hope to one day donate these to your children, who will be in need of
Yeah,
this beautiful luscious hair. One day
one
they'll
day.
get it.
I'm hoping, man. At
One
this
day.
point, I just hope they get my
Not
wife's hair
today
because
nor tomorrow, but one day.
man, there's a spot by our house, and my brother goes, "Oh, why don't you just look into doing that?" I was like, "Fuck off!" It's the hair transplant where they cut the back part of your head and they just put it here. Fuck off! I ain't doing that shit. I
You
was like,
tried it.
"There's no way in hell I'm doing that. You couldn't catch me dead."
No way. You know what though? It's funny because like I doing shows in like different areas. There's been times where I'll have to go do a show in like Orlando, right? And I don't live in Orlando, but I'll have to go do a show in Orlando, and I'll have to get my hair cut because I wait so long to get my hair cut that I'll have to get it done to like hours before the
Oh
show.
shit,
So
that's
I'll
fresh
go to
though.
Orlando. Exactly, it's the freshest of the fresh. I get the best cuts. So I go to Orlando to go get a cut. But the thing is now haircuts have expanded into this like whole industry where it's like, oh
Bruh,
well, we gotta offer massages, we gotta offer hot towels, we gotta do the whole shave.
the
You gotta
spa,
do, and I know
they yank it a little bit.
it's like they do the hyperpigmentation, and then they do all this stuff on you, and they also, this is around the time when they started offering doing like the paint
The
to do the
Drake,
hairline. Yeah, the Drake.
that little
So
Drake there.
the guy is like a car salesman, and he's like, "Dog, you gotta get it. You need it. You need it. You need it. It's right here. I can see it. The ends right here. They're starting to
Yo,
push back, and I can just touch it up a little bit for you."
bro.
And I'm like, you know what, dog? Hey, if I ain't gotta pay for it, dog, do whatever you want to do at this point. And I never posted any pictures from this show because of that shit. Because I'm like,
Yo,
dog.
no, I need to see pictures. I need it. I need that in my life.
Did the beard and everything, dog. And when I have to tell you the whole story on that barber trip one day, but just know that this is what we have to deal with as men nowadays.
Facts.
Is having to deal with that, having to deal with barbers being car salesmen,
Yo, you ain't
and
lying though.
I've never been upsold on a haircut like that in my life. But in Orlando Barber, and I can't remember the name of this cat, but that Orlando Barber really upsold the shit out of me on that damn beard,
Yo, you know
whatever.
what's funny? So I had two conversations lately about men's hair, and I said the
Uh-huh.
first thing was about that going to a men's like barber shop isn't like what it used to be. Before you used to go and say, yeah, the usual fade, no, whatever, and they'll do it
Right.
$20, you're out the chair, and then now you go there and they're like, oh dude, I can line your beard up, I can paint your beard on, I can paint your edges back, I I can give you back hair extensions. I was like, yo,
Yo,
there's
you
no
buy this
way.
weave right here for an extra $40. I could give you life again. Like I could turn you into a whole new human. Like
Bro, I'm tempted to go back to get my beard touched up, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna come back with hair, but paint it.
my whole thing was I was like, I'm in Orlando, but I felt like I was being like ripped off in New York. Like I went to like I'm
You know, one of
like,
those corner store, the corner Haitian center. Like, dude, I got you right now. Yo, $5 right now. Be right.
you need
$5,
a
I get
good
you.
hair. Like, yeah, I feel like I should have asked for his license. I don't know, bro. I ain't never going to get a haircut hours
Oh,
before a show in Orlando ever again. But it was a fun time, bro.
yo, I
That's
swear
how it
not.
is today.
There's like 5 new barbershops that open up around like close to me, and like
Yeah,
there's a latest one that opened by where I work right now, and
right.
I walk by and I'm thinking, oh, it says barbershop on it. But when you look through the glass, inside to the back, they have a whole salon to it too. So like for
Oh,
guys to go or girls to go in there and get their hair like done and
wow,
permed.
nice.
And I was like, yo, like there's a lot of shops now that are doing that. And because of that, they're
Yeah.
upselling the hell out of this weaves and extensions and
And a $25 haircut plus tip turns
yeah,
into $100 tag, and I'm like, whoa. Oh, what's the $45 charge for? Oh, we lined up the right side of your beard, so you got to get the left side done. So now it's 90. It's like,
it's doubled. Yo, my man's like, it's okay. I could have done this myself.
it's like I could do this at home. I got clippers. Like I just came here for the convenient experience of trying to get a haircut and
Facts,
not having to
bro.
do it myself. But yeah, bro, it's just like maintenance. So I was gonna get all done up for you today, but I have kids, so I just
All right, Heath. I got kids.
it's my natural excuse for everything today. But I just
Oh,
tell everybody. Everybody's like, bro, why didn't you make it? And I'm like, dog, I got kids, man. I don't know what
I
I
can't wait to use
don't
that
know what
excuse.
it's hard to come by. It's like I don't know. I
I
kind
can't
of
wait
have
to
to
use that
take care of them
excuse.
until they're 18. So I just until they get to there, don't invite me to shit. I just don't know.
Or if you invite me, just know it's a TBD. To be determined if I'm gonna make it or not.
Like, you know how long I have to pay for a Disney Plus subscription at this point? Like I have to keep this up now for
18 for
quite a
life.
long time, guys.
You got a prison sentence, kid. It's 18 to life.
You know what I'm saying? I got a boy and a girl, so I gotta have Paw Patrol on deck. I gotta have the Little Mermaid on deck.
You gotta
I
have
gotta have
Bluey.
them. Oh, you know what? None of them have gotten into Bluey yet. My son didn't really take to Bluey too much. He actually liked Peppa Pig more than he liked Bluey. I thought that was a little weird. I don't like Peppa Pig at all. I think she's very annoying. I think the people in her show are dumb.
Yo,
I
Peppa
feel like
Pig though is a savage. Peppa Pig is a
is
freaking savage. I've seen some
agreed.
clips of her, and I was
She's
like,
a savage.
yo,
But she has a right to be a savage. Her whole family's retarded. And I know that's not like the best word to use in 2023, but like her fucking family's the dumbest family I've seen on national television. I mean, I would put it up there with pretty much any other family you could think of. But that is one dumb family. And
well,
Peppa
Timmy
Pig has a
Turner's
right.
parents were up there. I thought Timmy Turner's parents were
Oh,
like
yeah.
they were the totem pole of like that was like the head of the totem
No,
pole
but
saying,
they make Peppa Pig's parents look like astronauts. Like, it's just like or the other way around. I'm sorry.
Peppa
Timmy Turner.
Pig's.
Yeah, they make them look like rocket scientists. Like,
Yeah.
parents should not be able to operate any type of motor vehicle or any type of machinery at all. They should not be anywhere near anything with a power plug.
Oh
Those
my
are dumb people.
bro, I you know what's funny is that I heard I the episode I saw it was something about like Peppa's like, "Oh, I was just calling cuz I'm so sorry for what I did, but if I just know that, I'm here for you and I want to be friends. I just don't want to hear this and this again." "Oh, so what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing this and this." Click. She hung up.
She's a savage. And then she turned my son into the same savage. Yo, my son my son has gotten into this thing now where when we have guests over, it doesn't matter if it's their Titi or their Ito, nothing. It don't matter who it is. When they leave the house and they're all nice and they're like, okay, bye. Thanks for coming over. It was great hanging out with you. Door shuts and they look at you and they're just like,
Show's over.
yeah, thank God they're out of here. Like, oh my God, what is wrong with you?
That's their job.
You're 3 years old. And he's just like, God, they're a mess. Like, what? So it's
Yo,
like I think that's the Peppa Pig effect.
yo, I think so. These kids, I talk shit because man, like when we were kids, we were watching this, and this, and I said, you know what, that makes sense because we did a lot of stupid shit. Because like Looney Tunes was like the
Right.
epitome of why I did a lot of stupid things. Looney Tunes, Ed, Ed and
Such a
Eddie.
great
Um, I'm trying to think of all the Codename Kid Next Door.
great show. You know
All
what? I
great
had to
show.
discuss Codename Kid Next Door came up in a conversation with a friend of mine, and I think we were in agreement that I feel like Codename Kid Next Door should be involved in the top 5 cartoon conversation. I feel like that is a very slept on cartoon.
It was a
That
very
is a very
slept on
good,
cartoon.
a very very good show. If you go back and watch Codename Kid Next Door, and if you think about it, it lasted a pretty long time.
It actually lasted so long, so I never saw the last episode. I ended up seeing the last episode more in my as an adult now. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you heard about this, man. There was this weird story behind Codename Kid Next Door. They're saying there was a weird
Hmm.
hidden message. I don't know if you ever heard about
Oh,
it.
like they did with the Rugrats.
Kind of. So
Okay.
it's a dark theory, but it was kind of a confirmed theory in a way. So
Okay.
you know how number one was bald, right?
Yes.
So they're saying the this is the lot where people are getting the theory from. He had cancer.
Yes.
They're saying that he was a kid with cancer, and all his friends, was it 2, 3, 4, and 5,
Yes.
all were his best friends. Now
Got it.
they don't want to get older, but it's because he's gonna die, so he's never gonna be able to see that age. So that's why he was
Ah,
avoiding getting there. It's because he was
getting
just was
older.
so
And he was the
everything
most rebellious towards
ex-
that.
exactly. So then there was an episode that they said that confirms it, which was I think it was the last episode where number one goes to space.
Yes.
So in that episode, the way they did it, it was more of a goodbye to him, and it wasn't that he was going to space. They
He
were
was
saying
dying.
he was dying. He was gonna die like the next day, kind of thing.
Oh, no.
It's one of the dark. I don't want to say darkest, but it's one of the most like interesting
Yeah.
thought to it because of all the episodes that they go through, all the stuff that all the missions that they do.
Yes.
Um, I think so. Like the parents are like his aunt and uncle. I think that are taking care of him. I
Right.
think I don't know.
Right.
Like those are the evil, like the evil group, or no, sorry, I lied.
Correct.
The evil group were the doctors who are taking care of him.
Okay.
So they're taking care of him, but it's evil to his eyes because they're not getting
So
him
these are all
better.
dreams from like his hospital bed,
Kind of.
essentially.
Essentially, is pretty much what's going on. Or that
That's
if
a
it's not
very
his from his hospital bed, he's home and that he's going through his last few days or maybe last few
yeah.
years.
Right. Right. Because like, come to think of it, like Kids Next Door, how many seasons did that run? I feel like that was a long time.
I want to
Kids,
say they.
Kids Next Door. Oh man, I just can't even remember how long that show lasted. But
I'm gonna try to look it up now. Kids Next Door. I
Kids
wouldn't be
Next
surprised.
Door. Yeah, 6 seasons doesn't sound like that long in retrospect, but I mean, in today's time with TV, you don't like if somebody
Well,
talks about 4 seasons, that's crazy. But six
actually, speaking
seasons and
6 seasons is a lot of episodes because think about it. Back in this was like the mid to late 90s. So you're talking about they
yeah,
would go on hiatus and they'd be on hiatus for a year and then come back.
and seasons were much longer
And
for
the seasons were much
cartoons.
longer. So you're looking at,
Right.
I don't know how many episodes it says, but let's say if it was 20 episodes a season, Because like
Right.
Courage the Cowardly Dog ran like 8 years or something like that, but it was only like 6 seasons,
Correct. I
and they were
think
like,
it says here season 1 of Kids Next Door had 13 episodes. And it seems like 13 was the
was their number?
number for each season. So 6 times 13, we'll say, is going to be 78 episodes. They were getting close to 100, I guess, when they ended. And it was
Yeah,
6 seasons. They started in 2002, so we're talking about ending in 2008 for a cartoon and on Cartoon Network. I feel like that's
yeah,
pretty impressive. It's
that is really impressive. Yeah,
yeah, I
so
love that show. I'm glad that show's getting like talked about, and there's like a theory about it because that was a really good cartoon.
yeah, I definitely would agree that that was one of the top 5 shows of like that era. Because obviously, for me, if I was to give it, it would probably be like, because Dragon Ball Z was my show. Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
Um,
but do you
uh,
put cartoons and animes in the same category?
I in my that's where I get kind of torn because Cartoon Network was playing. Remember, Toonami was on Cartoon Network, so they were playing
Yes.
Ed, Ed and Eddie. You get Cow and Chicken, you get
Mm-hmm.
Powerpuff Girls, and then
Yep.
like I like
Mr.
that
Flab,
cusp of it. Then you got Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha,
Sailor Moon,
Sailor Moon
Inuyasha.
would
Yeah.
get. And then the late
Yeah.
night
Yeah.
they rerun the Inuyasha again, but it was unedited. And
Correct.
then they would do the Yu Yu Hakusho, that was
They would use
unedited.
it. They did there was a point before like Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff came along. They were running the old like Japanese version of the Transformers cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And they would run them overnight. That was like before, but I think it was like before Adult Swim, if I'm not mistaken. It was like their late night show, and they would run the Japanese takes of Transformers cartoons. That was pretty cool.
What a great
That
show!
was a pretty
Like
fun time.
I started rewatching a lot of like anime shows recently, and I'm kind of caught up on Yu Yu Hakusho because I hadn't watched it
Mm,
in years, and I
nice,
didn't realize it was only 2 seasons. That's a show that they
really,
should have done more. It's only 2 seasons.
huh? I never. I guess it was such a good anime that I never really noticed because, like, with animes, it's different, right? Because like there's only so many One Pieces. There's only so many, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Animes like that are long lasting, and like Dragon Ball Z that has so many sagas to it, or so many variations to like a Dragon Ball, whether it be a GT or all the different
Super
variations.
Kai or
Yeah,
whatever they got going
super,
on now.
all of them, right? And so like there's only so many of those tier anime shows. So like Yu Yu Hakusho was definitely like I feel like because of Toonami was something that like a lot of Americans watched and like remember. But like we said, a lot of shows back in the day didn't have a lot of seasons, but we remember them to be like some of our favorite shows. If you think about like a Martin that only had like 5 seasons,
Yeah,
or yeah, right. Like think about like Smart Guy. Smart Guy probably only had like 2 or 3 seasons.
and it felt like forever because they ran because he
Oh, it
was like
felt like that
a
show ran
teen when they finally
forever.
ended it.
Exactly. So like it's just it shows how like your perception of time when you're a kid is so different because you're like in it and you're
Yeah,
living through it. And I don't think we focus on time like that. Like even as wrestling fans today, like as wrestling fans, we're always like, well, who's gonna beat Roman Reigns? And it's like, well, like let's like kind of like live in what's happening right now. Like
let's
let's
enjoy
talk
it.
about yeah, instead of talking about like when his reign is gonna be over, let's like talk about how big his reign could be. Like who could he beat next to make his reign even bigger? Or is there anybody else for him to beat to make his reign bigger? And I think we should think about like that stuff instead of so much thinking into the future because like you don't know how long this stuff is gonna be here. You gotta kind of enjoy
True,
it, you
true.
know.
You know what? That's a great way of segueing, because there's a lot of people
Okay,
right now who will not be able to beat Roman Reigns. Um, there was
that's true.
a plethora of names that dropped that
I don't mean to
really.
laugh.
It was just a perfect segue. You gave me
It
the
was
perfect
good.
bridge for this.
Oh man. This is gonna be a fun.
Yeah, here we go. We're going.
Oh man,
All
let's
right.
talk about it.
So I'm gonna pull up a list right now. So this list, so WWE, if you guys didn't know about it, WWE signed a merger deal in sense where they sold command, it was like 51% to, could be more, to UFC, um and the company merged to become TKO. So, as expected, TKO and WWE, or TKO in general, the whole big company now, they had to make budget cuts. And originally, we all thought it was just going to be a lot of like corporate heads, because originally the initial report was like, oh, yeah, like wrestlers aren't going to be touched on. Because I think even a lot of wrestlers who were released eventually said like they were surprised, but weren't surprised. Um,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna go ahead and get into this list, and we can kind of give more of a. And I know from our talk in the group chat that we have, more or less what you thought, but we'll go into it here so everyone else can see it.
that's fair. That's fair.
Okay, so on the first day of cuts, this was on the 21st. So there was like 3 days technically worth of cuts. So on the 21st, WWE released Dolph Ziggler, Elias, Aaliyah, Rick Boogs, Riddick Moss, Emma, Top Dollar, Shelton Benjamin, Dana Brooke, the ring general, Mustafa Ali. Don't make me laugh. Mansoor, Mace, or Mace, whatever you want to call him, Shanky Panky, Dabakato, Quincy Elliott, Bryson Montana. I told you stop making me laugh. Bryson Montana, Yulisa Leon, Daniel MacArthur, Kevin Ventura Cortez, and Alexis Gray, which the last three I believe were corporate heads. I could be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Um,
they were. So NIL was that means they were fighting from like the college from there was like from that college
oh, okay,
whatever.
okay.
Remember how he made that like college
That program that with Titus O'Neil that he
scouting
was working with.
program NIL? That's I think that's what that's from, if I'm
Got
not
it.
mistaken.
Got it. The next day on the 22nd, Matt Riddle, Ike Manjiro, um, Abul Abadi Fitzgerald. I may have just butchered that, and then Melanie Brzezinski, sorry,
Yeah.
were all released as well. Um, so those names were all what got released. And Nino, go ahead and give me your first take. I want to hear what you said.
So obviously, I mean, I think first first things first is we obviously don't like to see people lose their jobs. I obviously want to preface with saying that I don't think anybody enjoys watching anybody lose their way of living
If you
or
do, you're
making money.
sadistic.
You know what I mean? I think anybody who finds enjoyment in that is a little sick. But I do want to also say that I do understand business and where WWE is coming from a trimming perspective after doing such a merger. And I think this is also something as a wrestling fan, I feel like this is something that we should be a little bit accustomed to by now and know that this is part of the process as running a wrestling company is that you have to trim. And I hate to use I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but sometimes you have to trim the fat. You have to realize who is on contracts getting paid that aren't really being utilized correctly, could possibly be utilized better in a different location. We're in a boom period of wrestling. I think we're in a better place to where we don't have to necessarily worry about the well-being of these people who are being cut all of a sudden because there's so many other places for people to go, whether it be at MLW, whether it be at Impact Wrestling, AEW. There's a lot of options out there. It's not like there's a monopoly going on in wrestling anymore. And AEW is seeming like they're becoming a tiered company to where there's also a sub company, if you think about it, under them, like ROH. If they continue to buy other territorial promotions that'll continue to umbrella down in AEW's company. But that just creates more space for people to go places. So I do feel bad for some because I think there's a lot of missed opportunities there from WWE. I think, but all these people that are on this list, I feel like are people that kind of, as a fan, we could kind of be like, all right, well, this one I kind of expected. This one I'm not. I'm not really shocked by anybody on this list, with maybe an exception of Adolph Ziggler. But at that point, I'm not really shocked myself as well. The Mustafa Ali one is a little weird because of the situation at hand with him having to. He was scheduled to fight Dom for No Mercy. I thought that was odd.
Yeah,
Um,
he was the only one that was a little bit off to me as well.
yeah, I mean, and I think Top Dollar being released, but BFAB and Ashante Adonis sticking around is a telltale sign that there might have been a little bit more heat on Top Dollar than I think he gives credit for on social media, and I think that shows because had they had fired everyone off of Hit Row, then you could say it's that Hit Row failed and that's not really a direction that they wanted to go with anymore. So they let everybody go. But being that they just let you go and now they're keeping Ashante Adonis and BFAB, I think
Yeah,
that is a result of like maybe some heat there. But what about you? What did you find anybody on the list was like? I know there's a couple of who's on here. I know for sure there's like a couple of people that I personally don't remember seeing, and it's mostly like the NXT guys. I can't think of anybody like Bryson Montana. I don't ever remember seeing them.
yeah. I don't. I think I saw him once on NXT, maybe twice.
Okay,
But he's not been like a name that I can definitely say like, oh yeah, I remember. Quincy Elliott was a weird character from the get go, not because he was a gay character. He just had a very weird portrayal of his character.
yeah,
It didn't
but
connect.
they used him, right? They were using him for. I remember seeing him for a
Yeah, he
while, and
was.
then
Remember
all of a
his finisher was like using his titty to like hit somebody in the head and knock him out or something like that.
okay, okay,
It,
maybe Viscera could have used that.
I think Viscera did use that. I think he literally wholeheartedly bit off of, pun intended, he bit his move off.
Jeez, there's a lot of
Uh,
biting.
that
Big
was a
move
lot of
there.
bite. There's a lot of bite between those two. Um, uh,
Shelton Benjamin is one of those. I guess I feel like people were kind of shocked by, but at the same time, I didn't see like they were gonna do anything with him. So
I thought that
other than maybe being a producer or something,
I think he'll sign back as a producer because I think his body, he can't. I don't know if he can, and I could be wrong. He could be a great wrestler until his like 80s.
Yeah,
But because he's just an athletic, just phenom. I was watching an old video of like just a compilation of all his stuff and the feats he did early on. Like it took me a second to go, oh man, like I forgot he did all of this. He was,
yeah.
you
Shelton
know,
was
he had some
incredible.
banger of matches back in the day. Like when he came up with
Yeah.
Charlie Haas and they were that Americans team, the Kurt Angle's team, and
Yes.
they were just kind of like running rampant for a while. I was like, man, he actually had some banger matches.
Him when they used to fight Los Guerreros,
Oh
I
yeah.
could think there was a world greatest tag team match that was on like a vengeance, and I cannot remember for the life of me who they wrestled on that show, but I mean I remember that being the match of the night for sure. Like they had the match of the night a couple of times. They had some great tag team matches in that era. That
Yeah.
ruthless aggression is something I'm really interested in, like using Peacock and going backwards and watching back through again from like I've been thinking about going from like 2002, maybe like 2002, 2003, and just like kind of like delving into like some of the old content, old pay per views and stuff. Because that era of wrestling was like probably peak, man. That's when you guys
That was
had Edge,
right at the
Eddie.
yeah, it was like right at the end of like the Attitude Era, and it was kind of still a little bit raunchy, and then like right in the middle of that Ruthless
Yeah,
Aggression is when they started doing the PG era,
right
and
before it. Yeah,
yeah, and then that's where it kind of got a little stale. Like I was still watching it with my dad every week, but I remember going,
Mhm.
I am not into it like I used to be.
Yeah. It was hard to like. It was hard to defend it, defend being a fan at that point.
Yeah.
when they were doing like the McMahon money prize. Remember when they were doing like the McMahon was coming out and giving $1 million every Monday night?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You
It
know,
was just
like there was like that real weird period, Nexus era, I guess, of WWE 2010, where it was like Dolph Ziggler should have been world champion, but instead he was kind of just like being flopped around as like this,
you know
nobody, and
Dolph
they didn't
Ziggler.
believe in Brian.
Oddly enough, I was a big fan of Dolph Ziggler. So I remember after he got taken away from the Spirit Squad, and
Yeah,
they gave him this Dolph Ziggler a character, and he started running with it. It was supposed to be like a new age Val Venus, and I was like, okay, I can get behind that. And I loved
right.
his move, the zigzag, when he was his finisher. And I said, man, that's actually a pretty good move. Like, and he's pretty
Hmm.
athletic at the time. And the more and more I watched him, I obviously some of the characters weren't, some of his um roles with the character weren't so good because he never changed. He stood the same character and evolved maybe a little bit of his own like promo skills,
Right.
but it didn't really change. What you saw from him is what you were gonna get. But he put on
Yeah.
some matches, and he could put a lot of people over. So I
Yes.
became a huge fan of the fact that he wasn't like a normal jobber. And at the time, technically speaking, he's a 3-time world champion. He held the NXT
Yeah.
champion, he held the World Heavyweights champion twice.
Right.
Um so I was like, okay, this is a guy. I mean, he's a heel, and I'm the guy who I will always say it. I'm always been a face guy. I will always root for the face. But there are a couple heels that I back. I just can't help but root for them. Bray Wyatt, to come to name, was one. Randy Orton, I was a big fan of. Dolph, and
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously, even though he was like a tweener, but that kind of like badass, I could always back.
I
And Dolph
think
was one of those I could definitely relate with. I felt.
I think there was like that. That was also in that time period though, as well in WWE, which is something that I was discussing like this past week, and since I've been trying to make more TikTok content, I've been trying to decipher like how to present my content. So I just started this new thing where I'm explaining why a fan who may not be watching wrestling right now because they fell off of it a while ago, why they should pick back up. So I'm doing this thing right now where it's 5 reasons why you should start watching WWE again if you haven't been watching already.
Roman, 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 and Roman.
Right? Is what everybody would say. Which is funny because that's what all of my friends who don't consistently watch the product are talking about when they talk to me. They're like, "Yo, have you been watching wrestling? Because like I've been watching on Twitter a little bit like stuff that they're talking about, like the Bloodline and like Roman Reigns and like what's going on? Because like everybody's talking about it, and I'm like, oh wow, everybody who is not a consistent fan is thinking that Roman Reigns is the only thing to come back and watch. But there's like a lot of things that you could come back and watch right now. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the things that people need to like start watching again for is the new age of the babyface because
Yeah,
WWE has kind of like implemented now a proper lineup of baby faces that people can consistently and authentically get behind. Like your
yeah.
Cody Rhodes, right? Like Cody Rhodes, I can hate Cody Rhodes all I want, but at the end of the day, I cannot argue the fact that he is the baby face in the product and he is over as the baby
He's
face in
so
the
over. He
product.
doesn't even need the title. He's gonna get a title. I definitely believe he'll get the title
It's
run.
happening. That's definitely going to happen. But you're right. He doesn't need the title. He's over. And anybody who would try to argue that Cody Rhodes is not over is not watching the product on a consistent basis. Like for instance, last night on Raw, both times he shows up on TV, it's the pop of the night.
Yeah,
You can't tell me otherwise. You know what I mean? And it's the same conversation with guys like LA Knight, right? Like the crowd and the
yeah.
audience right now who are watching, yeah, they know who they like, they know who they want, and they're behind these people in WWE in return are making these people baby faces, and they're treating these characters accordingly. It's not like a situation from like 2010 where we're telling you we really like Dolph Ziggler. Please make him a face all of a sudden, because we really like him and we want him to keep the title. And WWE is like, nah, we see him as a heel. We're gonna keep him as a heel. This is what we want. This is our vision. Screw you guys. And it's like
Or
that was a lot of
swerveless.
back then. You know what I mean? Because we all can say here that Nexus should have beat John Cena and Team WWE at
Oh,
Survivor Series or
100%.
something, right? Like that year in 2010, we can all sit here and say the Nexus was supposed to win, but for some reason, WWE was like, the crowd needs to go home happy, and they ended up not going home happy because you gave us the opposite reaction of what we wanted you to give us. And WWE is not really doing that right now. So I feel like that's like one of my biggest. It's going to be one of my top 5 when you guys see my TikTok. I will be making a TikTok about it soon, but that's like one of the biggest things is like Cody Rhodes and bringing back the age of the babyface. I mean, you've got your Seth Rollins. Look at Chad Gable, what he's doing. You have like solid baby faces.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, there are solid baby faces. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And even Kevin Owens, right? Though he's an interesting character because you're not really sure with Kevin. Kevin Owens is very much
He's that
become
Stone Cold. He's our Stone Cold Randy Orton, that tweener.
absolutely.
He kind of bounces back and forth, and you're okay with it.
And if he turns heel, it's like you're not really surprised, but you are. And if he turns face and stays face, you're kind of surprised, but you're not. It's like he's very much the Stone Cold Steve Austin of our era, I feel like. But even still, you can look across the board on everybody right now in WWE, and you can tell who's face, you can tell who's a heel. There's a consistent like level of
Yeah.
storylines going on right now. And Cody is like a huge part of that, bro. Baby faces are in right now. It's kind of weird.
All right, everybody. We're gonna do a quick break from the episode, real quick. Again, thank you to a Primetime Nino to being with us on the episode. But this episode is brought to you today by Lift Life. Lift Life. If you haven't already heard about it, guys, it's a great product. We've been wearing it to work out. It's great workout gear. You're gonna be seeing they carry a lot of everything from men to women gear, tights, workout shirts, tank tops, hoodies. Right now I know Florida is getting a bit of a cold spell. I know the up north, we're getting a lot of start of the cold and the rain going on. So guys, this will be a great product for you to get if you want to get your swole on. Go ahead and go into it, and it's really easy. You want to know how easy it is? It's just as simple. It's going into our website here, liftlife.com, and at the end of the purchase, you're going to go ahead and put in the rated F. The code is the rated F. That's THERATEDF. And that'll be the code you got to put in. You guys get 10% off on your purchases. So guys, go ahead. It's a great product. I've been using it. I'm going down in weight. I'm working out as hard as possible. This is something that I definitely love to wear. Hopefully you guys love it as much as we do. And yeah, man. So we're gonna get right back to the show. And you know what's funny? Because I remember the age of the heel came when Stone Cold Steve Austin came in. Because he
Yeah.
was the heel you wanted to like. He did everything the man of the 90s wanted, which was tell your
Yes.
boss to go fuck himself, hit your boss a couple times, drink a beer at work. He was everything that you embodied as a 90s man. Then
100.
when you get to what we're looking at now, like the age of the heel kept going, even with CM Punk when the pipe bomb happened. People
Right.
were behind rooting for the bad guy. It was just the cool
Mm-hmm.
thing to do. And that's why Cena got booed for 2 reasons. Cena got this longevity of being booed for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. I really say 3. One of them was the fans really just enjoyed to boo the hell out of him. They just really enjoyed it. The second thing was that, and this is my main argument, and anyone who says different really didn't watch it during that time. They forced John Cena down our throat.
Yeah.
And they forced face John Cena down our throat so much because when he was heel John Cena and he was Thugonomics, it was a little bit of a different vibe. But then all of a sudden, when he went face and they just kept him face from that moment on, they just said, oh, this is our Hulk Hogan. enjoy it, and they just force fed us this. And I was still a fan of Cena. I would never say I wasn't a fan of Cena, but I could see why the fans hated him. And then the third option, and before you say anything, um, is just the third reason for why it happened, why he got booed, was the fact that he went over on spots where the heel should have won. And they made him this Superman character that he went up against all odds and he won. And it wasn't a bad storytelling that they did. Cena always did a great job in finishing the story very, really well. But it was there were so many times where the heel needed to be over. And it needed to be,
I
and then
I can think of like 5 instances right now off of the top of my head where it's that exact situation, and I think thinking back at like that era of time and why I hated Cena, it was because there was so many times where I thought the heel going into that situation should have won. And it's like the same reason I don't like Hulk Hogan, right? It's because there were so many times in Hulk Hogan matches where I'm like, well, he doesn't really need to win this one. You know what I mean? He doesn't need the title in this situation. It doesn't really benefit him to win in this situation.
Hogan
You
was bigger
think,
than the title.
yeah, it's like you don't even need the belt right now, and somebody else could really benefit like that. If you think back to 2006, think of how over Christian would have been over if he would have beat Cena,
Yeah.
right? Like, and he eventually got over anyways as on his own, like with the stuff that he did with Randy Orton. But I'm just thinking back in like 2006 when John had crossed over to Raw finally with the belt on the
Yep.
draft. And I think back to it, and yeah, it was a huge pop because John was the first pick on Raw, and I don't think people were expecting that at the time. So I feel like the pop was big then, but if you notice after that, he was getting booed heavily
Yeah,
on
because
Raw.
his last best pop is the same video I see every so often pops up on my Facebook feed. Is when he came back from the Rumble when he tore his pectoral muscle and he was supposed to be out for a year and came back in
Yes,
like 6 months.
yes. So
That was the
that was
last biggest
that was
pop he's ever
in
had
2000
prior
and
to recent.
that's 2008 in the Garden, the Rumble
Mm-hmm.
that they had in the Garden in 2008, and yes, you're right. That was like his biggest pop, and then I feel like 2006 up until 2008, he was getting booed
Yeah.
enormously, and I mean to the point where it was like when he was fighting Great Khali, people were like, "We want Khali to win."
Yep.
And if you are going into any match saying that you want the Great Khali to win, then somebody is doing something terribly wrong in booking. They should never want the Great Khali to win anything in life.
I don't know. You know what though? Because I've seen Great Khali. He was another. I enjoyed watching him wrestle because he was just a big guy, so we
Yeah,
knew what he was limited to.
yes,
But
but to
it was just
want
a
this
good.
man to win anything is a crime. That is a crime. That should not happen. Because you know what? Like, and I'm just meaning in terms of wanting him to win. Not saying he should never win matches. Because you gotta book him strong, right? He's a giant. You have to book the Great Khali like to be a threat, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't believe that he's going to win. But what I am saying is that you shouldn't want him to win because he's such a villain. He's
Yeah.
such. I feel like Khali's like probably in that era of wrestling. He's probably top 5 heels of all of the 2010s and up
Yeah. He
era. I
definitely
would.
was like that. Because I remember he was doing that like vice grip as a finisher, and he was like
Yeah,
causing
when
them
he
to
almost
bleed.
killed Rey Mysterio on SmackDown, and he just squished
Yes.
his head. He said he was going to squish his head like a melon. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, Khali's like top 5 heels of that era, dog. I hated Great Khali, but I loved him. But I hated him as a wrestling fan. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's like, but they had Cena fighting guys like Umaga,
Who
right?
were over.
Over as Rover, and I don't to this day understand. I remember we went to a bar to go watch Umaga versus John Cena at Royal Rumble for the title, and I think it was a last man standing match if I'm not mistaken.
I
And
believe so.
it was the first time Umaga lost. And I remember thinking, I'm like, dog, they can't let John do it. Like, don't let John do it. It doesn't make any sense because at that time, again, it's like 2006, people hate John Cena. This is going to make people hate him even more if you make him beat the heel that we're all like, oh, this guy's amazing. And he was. Umaga was amazing.
Yeah, Umaga was
Like,
was well ahead of his time.
well ahead of his time. Umaga, if Umaga was still here today, I mean, Umaga deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Point blank, period. I don't
I
understand
think
how
he
that's not.
will. I don't think it's going to be for some time, but I definitely think he will because of the Anoa'i family.
Yeah, I think so. Especially now with the revisiting of the Samoan lineage with the bloodline storyline. I definitely
Yeah.
agree with you. I think that conversation is gonna come, but it shouldn't have taken this long. Like I
Uh,
love Umaga.
I'll tell you
I
this,
love
and
Umaga.
I was a
Bet.
fan of Umaga. I was scared of the hell of Umaga, but I was a fan of his as well. And
Yeah.
name the titles he held. And this is the only reason I bring it up is because to say he was Hall of Fame material, you have to say his title runs and like just maybe even if he wasn't a champion, but if he was involved in a lot of big storylines that were it changed the era, then yes. Unfortunately, I don't. Umaga had a lot of great matches, had a lot of great opponents he went up against. He never held the world title.
He did
He was
not.
supposed to,
He
and
should have.
he should have.
He
Um,
should have.
and I think there was a moment where they were planning to give it to him, but then I think that's around the time he ended up passing. Because I
That
think there,
this was before then. It was the Super Cena era, and
yeah,
they wouldn't let him beat Cena.
yeah, because
But
they would Cena
he
was
should
Super
have won
Saiyan
that.
every time.
He should have won that title. So my belief is that Umaga was supposed to win at the Rumble in '09. I think this is '09 because yeah, it has to be. That's like when Umaga was around. It was 2009, and they were going into the Rumble. This was the I can't remember like the location, but I remember that it was Umaga and Cena on in a last man standing match for the title, and they had Cena
Oh
win.
seven.
Remember, I don't know, '07. Thank you, thank you. So it was the one where the I think Umaga got thrown into the turnbuckle and it popped. And then Cena did the STF with the turnbuckle rope kind of like
Oh
wrapped
yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah. I remember now. It took me a second.
And I just remember being at the bar and I was really upset because I was like, man, what they could have done if Umaga had beaten John Cena at that time, they could have taken that program to Mania that year. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, that's the same Mania that Triple H was hurt and he couldn't do it, and they had to replace Triple H with Shawn Michaels, if I'm not mistaken.
I
That
think
was
so.
23. Same year Umaga was fighting Lashley. Umaga should have fought Cena, and he should have gone into Mania 23 with
As
the
the
title,
champion.
and Cena should have beat him. And I think that's how it should have went down. That's just my opinion. As a fan, I go back to that time all the time, and I definitely think Umaga could have. And if that would have happened, Umaga is definitely in the Hall of Fame. Like that's not even a
Yeah.
conversation.
Because
But
it's been
like,
a great feud of that year, of
yeah,
that whole year, because that would have Royal Rumble would have started the year, Mania's in the middle of that, so then
yeah,
that would have been like the best feud of the year. Because I, what the '07 year, I don't remember. There wasn't like major feuds going on during that year, not that I could think of.
yeah, yeah. I mean, in that time, there wasn't really other than anything that had to do with Cena, there wasn't like a lot of programs that we can really think of. I can think of a few like Batista ones from
Yeah,
that time period. I know Dolph had a thing at that time with Kofi, and they were doing some cool stuff.
Airborne, and it had Kofi and I think Kofi and Evan Bourne were a tag
Tag
team also
champion.
in that time period. I think if I remember that.
If I'm not mistaken, it might be like a year or two off, but um, I know when Umaga was around, Kofi was still under the accent. So we might be wrong there, but even still, Umaga versus Cena was definitely something that should have won in the Mania. I think
Yeah, I
Umaga got
think
kind of slided with that Bobby Lashley deal.
yeah, he was one of those. He was one of those casualties of having too many talents and not enough to do with them, and then they misbooked them and never recovered from it.
Yeah,
Because that's the
absolutely.
issue with WWE back then, is that once they missed the booking on it, the fans were over it because they were like, "Well, why
And
am I
then
going
they
to
just
back
let it
him?"
go.
Yeah, because it's like, why am I going to back the guy and you're not going to even support us supporting him?
Right, absolutely. And I think that was a problem of that time, of that Vince era. Um, they've definitely gotten better at it, and I think that goes back to like the releases that have happened this past week. Is that WWE is getting ahead of the ball and saying, "Hey, like we don't see any plans to utilize you, so let's just go ahead and cut ties. So maybe that you can prove yourself in a different way for the next few years. If we see any value in you in the next 4 or 5 years, then maybe that we revisit this conversation.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's something that people should just kind of understand that this is part of the business process, and some of these people are better off in different places. There's so many other places to go today in wrestling that it's not really as daunting of a thing when you talk about a release.
Yeah, I think this is the one thing that we both agreed on the day that it all happened. We're like, these releases made sense.
Yeah,
Um, because we've seen other firings that they did, during COVID and the year after COVID. I think the year before COVID too. Remember there was like a season that it's about that time they do releases and
yeah.
wrestlers would start tweeting about it. Um, but this was one of those where, like, you know what? Out of all the releases, it made sense. Dolph, it was a smart move by WWE to release Dolph because his contract, I think, ended that same week, if I'm correct.
Oh
So
wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, so this is, and again, I'm not too into all their contracts, but for if I
Mm-hmm.
remember what a report I was reading, his contract was going to end at the end of that week, meaning that he could have appeared on Collision Saturday.
Ah,
Releasing
that,
him gives him a 60-day no compete clause and allows the ratings for Collision or whatever show he would have apparently jumped on
yeah,
to drop because people are going to anticipate he was going to be there.
right. See, and that's another way to go back into the conversation about business. WWE proving their wit to be ahead of the game like that. And I think that was another thing. I think I saw something about Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. They were talking about the whole release thing with Dolph and how they felt like WWE kind of like disrespected Dolph because they released him in the same tier as like the releases that they did, and they felt like it was kind of a slap in the face to Dolph because he was released with a lot of names that were kind of like underwhelming.
Nobody's.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like they were making it seem like that. And to be completely honest with you, again, it just goes down to like business. You know what I mean? If I release Dolph on his own, you know what I mean? What does that do for business for us?
Yeah.
Stopping him from going to an AEW, and then also if I know he's about to go into an AEW, why would I give him like all of these roses on his way out so that his value looks even higher and I look dumber for letting him go
Yeah.
to go to another company, and then he shows up there. I literally opened the pearly gates for him. I gave him his flowers on his way out of my company so he could jump to another company at the highest value I could possibly potentially give you, and now I'm not going to give you a 60-day compete clause so that you could just show up on Saturday and you can upstage me. WWE's not stupid. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like they look at those details. They're methodical in that sense, and they're smart. They, you know what I mean? Yeah, they released him with the same names as Masay and Mansoor because WWE doesn't want to add any like hype around Dolph Ziggler, but before he jumps ship, he's about to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? He's not just about to like pick up his comedy gig and do that for the rest of his career. We want to see Dolph
Exactly.
Ziggler wrestle again. So it's like, why should I feed his pot before he goes somewhere else?
And
You
I
know what
think
I
that's
mean?
where the fans feel like, oh, well, WWE is just greedy for that. But it's a business move. If I know
Business.
you can hurt my business by going over there, we didn't. It's not. And the issue is that they knew there was talent there. He never
Yeah.
dug into his own talent on a lot of moments. I saw something. I think Mark Henry said it, or somebody else said it, that he stood very flatline. It was the same character, it was the same build, but it wasn't like John Cena where you can kind of say like, oh, like no matter what, he got a reaction. Dolph didn't get the
Yeah.
reaction anymore from a lot of people. There were people who were still fans of his, but you weren't getting the same like, oh my god, Dolph Ziggler. You're going like, oh my
Yeah.
god, Dolph Ziggler, like you're still around.
And it was kind of like WWE had kind of set him up for failure in that sense because I remember a couple of times where Dolph was. I remember one year specifically, Dolph came out as number 30 on the Rumble, and we were like, it was like he went away for a while. He had said he quit. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
I
this.
remember that.
Dolph quit, and then he came back as number 30 at the Rumble. And I don't know who we were expecting other than Dolph at that time, but I know we always like kind of hype up number 30 if we don't know who it's gonna be. And when we found out it was Dolph, it was
You're
like,
like, oh,
oh come on, dog.
like you could have
What
done somebody. He could have been 29.
could have been 29? Like, why are you number 30? You know what I mean? And it was like,
Like, did the other guy not wasn't able to make this one? Did he had a prior booking arrangement?
you
Like,
know what
what's
I'm
going on?
saying? So then we get asked out in that sense because and Dolph gets asked out because them putting him at number 30 now they know we're gonna be like, oh come on, dog, it's Dolph. It's
Yeah,
not.
and
Oh,
you put
you
him.
know what? It was Finn Balor. Finn Balor was the one that everybody was expecting to show up because he
Oh,
was
because
in.
he had. Yeah, it was when I think he blew his hammy or his knee or something like that.
This was,
Or
if
his
I'm not
shoulder.
mistaken, this was after the shoulder at SummerSlam,
You're
and
right.
people thought he was going to have a quick comeback. And we were hoping to God that we were going to get Demon Balor at number 30. And I just remember seeing Dolph come out, and we were just like,
Side note: he
man,
needs to come into the Rumble one year as the Demon,
that would be
as
insane. I
number
don't know how
30.
you integrate. And I remember before this last Mania, I was like, man, I wonder how they would integrate Demon Balor with the Judgment Day. But I think they did it really well
I think
at
so.
Mania. So I hope we get to see it again. The Rumble's going to be fun this year, bro. Tampa. Are you going? Are you thinking about
I'm
it?
I'm thinking of going. I'm trying to convince the missus, but we got some plans going on that may cause a lot more money. So we're trying to
Yeah.
unless the podcast career starts getting off on a high note. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I'm on the same boat. I'm hoping this TikTok money or this sports betting money will just fantasy football.
Cut it out.
Hoping that will pay for my WrestleMania or my Royal Rumble ticket. But wifey and I have been talking about. I'm just so excited because I haven't been to a wrestling show since I want to say like NXT. If I'm not mistaken. I don't think my wife has been to a wrestling show.
Yeah,
So I'm
probably,
just super
probably outside of
excited.
JPW. Yeah, it's probably I haven't been to one in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I'm super excited because I really do want to go. We do have a couple of things this holiday season that we're gonna have to take care of, and my son's birthday is in January too. So uh,
Maybe a double celebration kind of thing.
it could be a double celebration type thing. Hope if Roman is even willing. He might not be because of the fireworks, but we'll see, man. I that stadium's gonna be great. That
Oh
stadium's
yeah,
gonna be good, and it's gonna be live, bro. Royal Rumble this year is gonna be crazy.
it's definitely gonna be definitely live on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did want to get into one last thing today. I do have something. I had a couple things, but running out of time, so I am gonna go ahead and just kind of jump into this one last segment. It's our favorite segment of the evening.
Thank
And
you,
if you
God.
don't know, if you haven't watched any previous episodes, it's one of our favorite episodes. We like to come up. It came up in the middle of the year. Why we won't go to Australia is back with a new special edition.
Thank you, God. Oh, I love this show. This is so good.
So
Oh.
I'm gonna make sure it's up for you guys, but a new species of spider has been found over there in Australia. I
Oh
don't know
God.
what it is that says Australia and spiders have to make a baby, but apparently this is a thing, and I'm not a fan of it. But to make it even better, the new species of spider is named after Tom Hardy's Venom. I was waiting for the reaction. Thank you. So, a new Australian spider resembling Tom Hardy's Venom has been named Venomous Tom Hardy by scientists. The authors of a new study published in the journal Evolutionary Systematics explain that the conspicuous black markings on the spider's thorax, which means the butt, um, reminded them of the patterns visible on Venom's head after it merges with Marvel character Eddie Brock, who is played by Tom Hardy in the movies. Um, yeah, the picture of this spider is pretty. Like the head of it is legit. Like it looks like Spider-Man, Venom's head.
Oh no. See, this is we gotta just. I feel like we should build a fence or border around Australia, not to enslave their people, but
To make sure
just
no
to keep
animals get off.
critters away. You know what I mean? I think we should enslave their spiders. If anything, we should definitely
Yo,
enslave them.
their spiders have passports. There's no way in hell I'm going over there. I
No
can't see
way.
myself going over there comfortably.
And you know now the WWE has to go there for elimination chamber.
Yeah, I don't
They're
get
going
it. I don't
to.
know. Why would you go there at this point? The spiders are bigger than. First off, they have a spider over there called the bird eating spider.
The
It's
birdie.
bro, it's legitimately like the size of my arm, and I've seen a picture of it grabbing a like hummingbird and saying, lunch." Like legitimately going, "Oh my god, this is delicious." Who's the chef? Mwah, 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 mwah. Like literally.
They really seasoned this little toucan, you know.
Yo, Toucan Sam is great over here. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs too now.
Australian spiders should be banned from the face of the earth. I don't know why anybody would visit this place. Um, I'm just so glad that we have a segment on this show to deter people from going there because it's a place that should never be traveled to. They should cancel all airlines to Australia and just disconnect it from our Earth already. I mean, I don't understand why it's here, to be honest.
So the concept, they always say that there was the world was just one big continent, it was the supercontinent Pangea,
Yeah.
and when we all
Yes.
separated, we all kind of fit
Tectonic
like a
plates
puzzle.
crashed. Yeah.
Australia went as far as possible because I think even the world said, "Yeah, you can't be near anybody because you don't play nice."
No, not at all. And you breed animals and creatures. I don't even know if you should call them animals. Creatures more so that just why are they here? Like
I
what are we
think I think Goosebumps got a lot of their material from Australia,
based off
100%.
Australia? I can see that being a thing. I can see that being a thing for sure.
Bro, I'm so done with it. Every I was telling you this before we started recording. Every time I go on the internet, something about my algorithm and Australia pops up, something new about spiders or something new that they're finding.
it's the algorithm understanding that you were probably never going to go there at this point, so they're just going to keep letting you know why you shouldn't go. Just in case you were thinking about changing your mind, let me remind you on why you shouldn't go to Australia. You know what I mean? I think that's hilarious because they've done nothing wrong but breed terrible creatures. They've
Yeah, the
done nothing.
people over there here are amazingly nice.
They've given us Rhea Ripley and
Emma.
Emma, Buddy Murphy. Oh, very, very, very nice people. I've met most of them, and they're very nice. But their creatures should be locked away and put aside on a beach somewhere. You know what I mean? I just feel like we should just take them and send them to another planet. If there was any type of alien stuff going on, send the spiders to go check on that for us. If we're worried about aliens, just send the spiders.
Send spiders. Just let them deal with it at this point.
You know, I don't know. Put a camera on them, turn them into a drone. Do whatever you have to do. Just like get them away from us. Just we don't need any spiders around us. So just send them and figure out what's going on in Area 51.
It's not as big as they get, man. There's some spiders that are as huge as me, bro. I'm sorry. We're not playing this game. I'm not doing it.
They take up whole walls. They just take up entire walls with their legs and stuff. It's like, how do I compete with that? At that point, you own my house.
Yo, facts. It's your house. It's not even yours. It's not even mine. It's yours.
As a matter of fact, I'll leave the kids, and you can babysit them too if you want.
Teach them how to climb walls, just like you do. Just stay away from me.
You know, treat them as your own. I don't know. Just figure it out. Feed them stuff. You know, you'll find it. Figure it out, dude. I don't know. Australia. I'm praying for the people in Australia tonight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, guys, that is our episode. We do want to go ahead and end this today with a really fun note. As you see, like we said, JC will PrimeTime Nino will be with us going forward just for a little bit on the show. I mean, could be a lot more than a little bit, but we also want to invite you guys to maybe get on the show. So how can you do this? Tell you right now. We're running a contest every week from our video. So when this video drops, if you've stood this far, you're going to be privy to this. Make sure you go ahead and drop comments on here as much as possible. The person who has commented the most on this video specifically, or on any of the future videos we're dropping, will give you guys a special guest spot on the following episode to join in with the Rated F and PrimeTime Nino. So you guys want to be on the show? You guys want to have a lot to say? Come on, we'll definitely love to do that. Nino, anything else for the fans?
Yes, go ahead and check me out right now. I am not doing a lot of music right now. Honestly, guys, I want to let everybody know I am just taking a minute right now to refresh myself and kind of just step back and see what my situation's at in my own personal life. So in that time, being a dad, I'm also working right now on elevating my new TikTok page where I'm strictly talking wrestling. It's kind of like my form of a wrestling podcast. So follow me on TikTok right now. You can get this little QR code right here. Hit that little QR code with your camera, and it'll take you to my TikTok. Go ahead and follow me on there. I'll be posting a lot more wrestling content and just me talking about theories and interesting ideas because I think wrestling is in such a great place right now. And as a fan, I'm super excited that I can actually talk about wrestling comfortably without feeling like I'm a nerd anymore. So I'm taking it to social media now and just giving you guys more content that way. And more music will be on the way soon, but I'm just taking a little while to reset myself and spend some time with my kids. We did a lot of promotion for the album, so I'm a little burned out. But Nino's back with some wrestling content, and I'm glad to be here on Rated F as an honorary guest host with Felix, and I will be here on here a little bit longer. So just keep on tuning in, guys, and keep supporting, keep subscribing, keep watching. We appreciate all of y'all's love and support on everything that we do. God bless you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, guys, we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Sé que voy a ganar a la acción mía, muy bien. fichar y yo no voy por parar. Yo no juego con bandoleros porque yo sé que